started here, and then folks will roll in as we begin. So yes, thank you so much for everybody who's joining today. Very excited to share internship conversation with you all. My name is Bryson Maish, and I'm the career coach at the Hamilton County campus. And this is Experience Matters. Don't skip the internship. So like I said, very excited for you all to be here. This is going to be a little bit of a sharing what internships are all about. Also, it's going to be kind of discussion based too. So please feel free to message in the chat or unmute yourself if you want to share your story or anything like that, or comment on anything that we discussed today. So with that, just to share a little bit about our agenda. So we're going to start with just kind of giving a quick definition of what an internship is, and then going into a little bit of myth busting, debunking some internship myths for a little bit. Then going into, exploring the benefits of an internship, why you should consider doing one, or just thinking about if you have already had one, maybe how you can leverage that for the future. And then also, lastly, discovering how to find those opportunities once we've talked about why they're important and define them a little bit. So great. With that, talking about what an internship is. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you have had an internship experience, please throw it in the chat real quick. So you can say, introduce yourself and then say like where you interned or what your position was. I'd love to see those kind of coming in. And if you haven't interned anywhere, and if you're a student, tell us what your first job was ever. It's kind of a fun little piece of discussion. What did you do for work in your first job? So in a nutshell, an internship is a short-term work experience offered by companies and other organizations for people to get some entry-level exposure to a particular industry or field. So, you might have seen those if you've been on some job boards. Typically, time-wise, it could fall under, a fall internship, a spring internship, or a summer internship. Sometimes they might fluctuate a little bit from there. There's also micro internships that could be, it could be a couple of weeks, it's maybe a month, and those are very project-based. But it's a way of working on relevant projects that's focused on your area of study, potentially in the field that you want to work in, learning more about the field that you're in, right? Being able to ask questions to your coworkers or people that you're working in that environment with. You can make industry connections, which we'll learn is very, very critical, and hopefully you have learned throughout this week. And you have the opportunity to develop technical and employability skills, and we'll go into a little bit about that in the near future as well. So that's a little bit about what an internship is. I want to throw this out to the chat though. Other than internships, let me know what other ways are there to learn about an employer and maybe a workplace environment. So this is one of those situations where you can feel free to unmute and share or throw it in the chat. And while you're thinking about that, I'll read some of these fun internships here. Mark did an internship at Wolf Park as a curator. Love it. Had an undergrad internship at the Louisiana Superdome. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm all about that. That's awesome. That's Mark. Work and learn. Okay. I'm seeing informational interviews, other ways to learn. That's great. Yep. And another internship at DeKalb Community Foundation, but their first job was at Dairy Sweet in, I'm going to pronounce that wrong, Greville. There we go. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yes. So I love that informational interview. Exactly. That's a great, it's a great one. Some others include, of course, job shadowing, where that could be, maybe a day or two where you actually go and you follow and, job shadow somebody and learning about what they do. Volunteering, of course, where you're going to a company and volunteering some of your time, great way to connect with people and get some good experience. You could also maybe go to a company on a site trip or something just to see what the facility looks like and to ask some questions from there. And then, of course, informational interviews, which we'll share in the chat. All really great things. And this is just some of many, but I wanted to highlight that there are other ways of also getting experience other than internships, even though we're focusing on that today. Think about like how you want to test drive a car before you buy it. This is sort of like test driving a career before you commit to it, right? All good ways of getting information before you make a big step. So I also want to ask you all if you've ever heard these two statements before in your career or while you've been here at Tech before. It's not what you know, it's who you know. So feel free to give a thumbs up in the chat if you've heard this or not, or comment on it too if you have any comments on it. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Or maybe you've heard or thought, I need experience to get a job, but I need a job to get experience. This is a classic kind of dilemma for recent graduates where they're like, I have this education now, but the job description is saying 1 to 3 years of experience. What am I going to do with that, right? How do I break that threshold? And I've also have thought or heard these before. And so it got me thinking even when I was an undergrad and going through my program of what do I do with this? Well, internships kind of solve both of those things, right? An internship allows you to get connected with people, to gain skill, of course, and what you're learning in the classroom is very critical and important. But an internship allows you to apply that and also get to connect with people. And so that's kind of where it's who you know. And then, of course, an internship allows you to get really good work experience that you can put on your resume that will help supplement that, getting that experience before you graduate, before you move on. All right, just making sure I check back in the chat every once in a while. Yep, got some people saying I've heard both. I've heard the first one, but not the second one. Awesome. Yeah, great. And just on a personal note, I've also have had an internship in my life that has had a pivotal part in shaping my career. So I was that classic student who I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no goals. I kind of studied something that I find interesting and I still use it in my day-to-day now. But I was like, I just don't know what to do with this. I ended up taking a student job that was very student-facing and realized I like working with people, specifically college-age students, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with that. So when I went to grad school, I had the opportunity to intern in a career services office, and that solidified it for me. Those few months that I was interning, I was able to meet with students to help them out with their career development, to really see what the inside of it looks and to connect with people. And that was instrumental in both of these two kind of statements here for my own path. And so I've seen that firsthand, the impact that an internship can have. And so that's why I'm passionate in sharing it today. All right. So let's debunk some myths. All right, I don't know if we got any Mythbusters fans in the house. Here we go. I like my graphics and animations, so bear with me on that one. So what we're going to do, so if you guys could, whether it be on your phone or opening up a new tab in your browser, go to polev.com. Once you go there, you'll have the opportunity to enter in like a code, and that's what you see at the bottom there, that number 2, Bryson Maish 784. I have a sort of a difficult name. Watch out for that last name. But I'll give you all a chance to kind of log in and hop in.
And I also put a direct link in the chat, so that should work if you're on a web browser.
Perfect. And you'll see like a box pop that says something about using it for credit. Just hit the skip for now button. Don't worry about that. Cool. So I'll give everybody a moment to hop in there. And of course, throw it in the chat or unmute if you have any complications with that. Okay. So the first question I have for you all. See if it'll, there we go. So thinking about an internship, what do you think the goal of an internship is? And you should see these responses on your phone or on your browser now. Do you think it's to brew some good coffee, to make money, to learn new skills and network, or to add a new experience to your resume? So feel free to answer your best guess. Seeing learn new skills and network kind of taking the lead there. Some on the resume side, okay. People apparently aren't a fan of making good coffee. I'm a fan of drinking good coffee. I don't know about, making it though. Okay. I think we're kind of plateauing here on learn new skills and network. Awesome. So yeah, you all nailed it. Very good responses. I think both of those are really good responses. And I put that to kind of be tricky because, of course, when you have an internship, you're able to put that on your resume. That's a really good bullet point and experience to add there. And employers are going to be looking for that. That's going to stick out to them. But when you think about what the goal of the internship is, it's to learn new skills, both those technical and employability skills, and to connect with people, whether that be your supervisor, your coworkers, all those good things, which goes back to those statements, it's who you know, and it's getting that experience beforehand. So fantastic job. The myth here, a lot of people think that internships are just about busy work, like, brewing some good coffee or making copies at the copier. That's not the case, or at least that's not what a true internship is. You're actually doing some really good work, working on projects and making a difference in the company. And we'll get on to the money topic. You can make money at an internship. You just might not be making like tons and tons of money. You won't be rolling in the dough necessarily. All right, so great job. Next question. Speaking of money, most internships are unpaid, true or false? Okay, we're like a fight right here. It's kind of fun. It's going back and forth. All right. The true's going down. False is going up. Nice. Okay. All right. I think we've landed. So most internships are unpaid. That is false, actually. So most internships are paid. And that's true both nationally. About 60% of internships nationally are paid. That number is even more drastic when you think about higher Ivy Tech. And so if you haven't been on the Higher Ivy platform, I have a slide on that in a little bit here soon, so we can talk about that. There is a built-in job board, an internship board within Higher Ivy. And we've done a little bit of digging on the data there, and most of our internships in Higher Ivy are paid. So that is a myth. And of course, this can depend on industry and so on, but most employers do pay their interns. That's not to say that unpaid internships aren't worth it, and you do get a lot of great experience from that. But it's nice to have paid. And if you're considering an unpaid internship, think of the other benefits that might come with that. Some employers might pay for living potentially, or maybe travel costs if you're having to travel somewhere for an internship. You never know. Maybe they'll loan you a computer. There could be other benefits to an unpaid internship that aren't surface level. Great, good job. All right, and okay, awesome. Looks like this, you guys already been answering this one. So, and of course, the myth in the last one is most internships are unpaid. Now, an internship is just like a part-time job. True or false? What do you all think? Seeing about 42% true, 58% false. Okay, cool. Does anybody in the chat want to speak up about why they chose true? Why do you think it's, or what elements of it do you think is similar to it being a part-time job? Any thoughts on that one? And I'll ask the other side too. Those who picked false, why do you think that it's different than a part-time job?
Well, you are not being paid. Well, an internship is just there to learn, as a learning experience. And sometimes part-time jobs are a learning experience, but internship is just a part-time job for a limited time. And you're not getting paid, first off, but it's just, an internship is just a way of testing the waters, so to speak, before jumping into the pool.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Luke. I appreciate that perspective. And of course, some are paid, but you're right, some are unpaid as well. And it's that good time to get that that foot in the water, to test out a new work environment in the field. And Ashley, I see in the chat, you may not be working a full 40 hours per week. Yep, as an internship, that's true. Yep, and part-time. You're there mainly to learn about how to do the job. Awesome. Thanks, Chris, for putting that in there as well. I'm seeing there are more opportunities to develop skills in internship with potentially more mentoring. Very true, very true. And Cindy, a robust internship is built around opportunities to enhance skill development. Yes. And one more. more emphasis for learning rather than the pressure for the work to get done. Awesome, awesome. You all nailed it, exactly. There are some, of course, similarities to internships and part-time jobs in some ways, of course. Probably the most differentiating thing between them is an internship is going to have that learning outcome, right? There's going to be a learning goal to it. You're going to be able to apply what you're learning in the classroom to what you're doing in your internship. And if you didn't know, if you do land an internship, your career coach will actually team up with you and the internship supervisor to help you figuring out those learning goals for you, right? What employability skills do you want to learn? What technical skills do you want to focus on in an internship? You can kind of plan that out to make sure that you're landing those goals as you're in that internship. So excellent. Both of these look good on a resume, but there are some key differences between the two. All right, let's see if I can't move here. So now we're going to just have another quick slide on the benefits. So feel free in the chat, especially for those of you who have had internship experience, throw in the chat, when you were interning, what were some of the biggest benefits for you? What did you gain from that? And what has stuck with you since then, right? Feel free to share. And as you're sharing, I'll go through the list I have here. So when we're thinking about internships and the benefits you can get from there, of course, it's going to boost your chances of landing a job, right? An employer, that's going to really stick out to an employer when they're reviewing your application for a full-time job, if they see that if you've interned in that field already. And especially if you are trying to hire on at the place you've already interned, that's going to give you a huge leg up in the application pool. I've bolded this because one fun fact is, let's say two people are applying for the same job and they have equal skill, right? This is a differentiator for a recruiter on if they're going to choose one, they're probably going to choose a person who's had an internship over the one who hasn't, right? Internships often lead to higher wages. So when you get to full-time, maybe you're able to leverage the experience you've gained in an internship if you're negotiating or things like that for salary. Of course, it allows you to connect you to people in the field, networking. This one, oh, it's so important. I can't stress that enough, how important it is to know people in the field that you're working in. So internships are an amazing way of connecting with people. Those oftentimes lead to job opportunities. It, of course, adds relative work experience to your resume, which is very important. Helps determine your preferred work culture. You know, a lot of times when we're in college, we might not think about, you know, what's the ideal work culture or work environment for me? But being able to have an internship opportunity helps you to get a gauge on what you're really looking for. Like, do you want to work with a large company or maybe a small group, right? Do you prefer working mainly remote or do you want to work in person? It also furthers technical and employability skill development. I bolded employability skill here because this is another one of those differentiators, okay? Employability skills are those critical skills that you need to have in any workplace. You can think of it like critical thinking, active listening, being able to communicate professionally, right? Thinking about diversity and inclusion. Those are very important, and if you can showcase that in your interview, it's going to give you a leg up in that interview process. It helps you to narrow down areas you'd like to pursue for a career. If you're a little unsure, maybe you know the field you want to work in, but you're like, oh, but there's so many areas I can go in this. Being able to go into an internship will help you to narrow that down and maybe find that niche that you really want to work in. And last one that I just have on here, it provides a way to know what the day-to-day of a job looks like, right? It gives you an idea of, okay, if I were to do this full-time, here's what I can expect day-to-day in my job obligations, right? And you can get an idea if you really like what you're doing. And there are tons more besides that. I'm looking at some of the chat right now with Mark, being invited to sit in on important meetings, learning the real behind the scenes on how things work in networking. Yes, exactly. Getting in on those important meetings is phenomenal. Jess said, I learned what not to do and the bad side of the industry I was getting into, and it allowed me to pivot out of it with minimal loss. That's great, right? You know, you were able to see the inside of the industry and make a change before you spent more time and kind of went into it, maybe weren't as happy or fulfilled. Awesome. Thanks for posting those, guys. So just quickly, I want to share some internship success stories from Ivy Tech students. So these are real life, of course, people who have had internship experiences. This individual, they interned at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis as a humanities gallery intern. And I've underlined some of the things that they were able to learn and grow in. So they were able to learn how to put galleries together, how to put on programs for children. They were even able to connect with a local artist and learn more about them and learn more about their painting process. We don't know, but knowing that connection could lead to future job opportunities down the line. And that's a great outcome from that internship. The second student, they worked for CFD Investments as an IT help desk intern. And they were able to assist customers and employees with their PC issues, building a lot of those great skills. They were able to work with a database, building a database, and hosted a live web broadcast to a national conference. If I were looking for a bullet point on my resume, that would be a phenomenal one to put on there, right? That you've helped host a broadcast to a national audience. It's pretty cool. So you can see in just a short amount of time, the first one was a summer internship and the second one was a fall internship. They're able to do a lot in just that and had a great deal that they can talk about in an application process now. So you might be thinking, now what, right? We've talked about internships for a little while. We've told some good stories and kind of discussed the benefits and why you should do it. Well, the next best step is to actually connect with your career coach, right? Make an appointment with us. Talk to us about what you're looking for. We can help guide you in that. The more we know about you and your story, the more we can tailor that to your own unique career journey, right? And so I wanted to add in a little bit here. If you're unsure about what you want to do, we help you with career awareness and figuring that out. We talked on that in a workshop a few days ago. That will help us to lead, okay, now we've done some career awareness. We know what your interests are and your strengths are. Have you considered these opportunities? And we can help you to guide you in looking for those and then get you prepped with your resume, interview skills, and all those things that hopefully land it. Once you land it, your coach is still with you in that career experiences where we're walking, we're kind of checking in on you during the internship. We're helping you with your learning goals and so on and so forth. So we're with you every step of the way. So that's the best and first step, is to connect with your career coach. And also, of course, if you have not visited Hire Ivy, we highly recommend you do. This is a great resource for Ivy Tech students. You can find it through your My Ivy account. And if you are on My Ivy, you'll find it under Tools and Resources, and it'll be in alphabetical order. I encourage you to heart it so that it's on your main screen when you first log in. There are tons of amazing resources for you on Hire Ivy. I'm just going to concentrate on one today. There is a Jobs and Internships tab. Like I said, I like my animation, so hopefully you like the little loop there. This is a robust job board where there are a plethora of internship opportunities found there. I think the last time we looked, it was like 265 internships, most of those being paid. So it's very robust, many of internship opportunities across industries, of course, including full-time positions, part-time, and so on. So we highly encourage you to check that out. Go and apply to some, connect. If you find one you really like, let your career coach know and they can support you in applying for those. Now, as I'm wrapping up the workshop today, and again, thank you all so much for taking the time to hop on here. Of course, I want to encourage you to stay connected. We are an Ivy Tech statewide, and you have within your own campus, your own CCEC, Career Coaching and Career Connections team. Rely on them. So they're there to support you. So feel free to reach out to them. What you're seeing on the screen here is a variety of different ways that we can support you, whether it be we host workshops, we can support you in those work and learn opportunities like we've been talking about, career assessments and career coaching, resume. We host recruiting events, everything career related, we've got your back. So I hope that you remember that moving forward. And with that being said, I would love to answer any questions you all have or any thoughts maybe that have come from this workshop.